Hey, welcome! Today we are diving into something that's basically a blueprint for the future of learning, the ISTE Standards. If you've ever wondered, how do we get students to stop just memorizing facts and start becoming real creators and collaborators in this digital world, well, this framework is the key. Let's get right into it.
So, let's be real. The world has changed. A lot. The jobs our students are going to have probably don't even exist yet. So why would we use a classroom model from 100 years ago to get them ready for that future? It's time to completely rethink what a classroom is and what it does.
We all know this scene, right? It's the classic classroom setup. But we have to ask a really tough question. Is this kind of environment actually building the collaborative, creative problem solvers that the future is demanding? All the evidence points to one thing. The old way just isn't cutting it anymore.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. This isn't just about what students can remember, it's about what they can do. It's about becoming critical thinkers, creative problem solvers, and responsible digital citizens. So, what's the game plan to get there?
Well, this is exactly where the ISTE standards come into play. They were developed by the International Society for Technology and Education. And listen, these are not just some boring checklist of tech skills. No way. They are a full-on roadmap designed to empower both students and educators for this new world, giving us a clear vision for what meaningful, tech-driven learning actually looks like.
And here, you can see the two sides of this transformation. On the left, you've got the 7 standards for students, and on the right, the 7 for educators. See, this isn't a top-down thing. It's a partnership. For learning to be truly transformed, everyone's role has to evolve, together.
All right, let's start with the students, because this is where it gets really exciting. The ISTE standards are all about shifting students from just passively listening to information to actively creating their own understanding. These aren't just skills to check off a list. They are powerful new identities for students to step into.
This mind map shows you just how interconnected these roles are. A knowledge constructor is also a digital citizen and a global collaborator. It's not about mastering one thing at a time, it's about developing a whole set of skills that work together. Let's dive into a couple of these roles to see what they actually look like in action.
First up, the knowledge constructor. Now, this is a fundamental shift. Instead of just being handed content from a textbook, students are now the ones actively building their own understanding of the world.
So, what does a knowledge constructor do? It means using smart research strategies and, crucially, evaluating sources for things like accuracy and bias. But here's the really cool part. Our brains are literally wired to retain information way better when we construct knowledge ourselves, instead of just consuming it. So students aren't just reading, they're curating, they're connecting, and they're exploring really complex, real-world issues.
Here's a perfect example. Imagine a student doing a project on a global issue, like water scarcity. They don't just read a chapter in a book. They're digging up articles, watching documentaries, analyzing data, all while asking, hey, is this source credible? Then they build something totally new, a presentation that shows what they've learned and put together.
Okay, next up, let's look at the global collaborator. In today's world, the most important work gets done in teams, right? And those teams are often spread all over the globe. This standard is all about getting students ready for that reality.
This means using technology to actually connect with people from different backgrounds, using collaborative tools we all know, like shared documents and video calls, to work on real projects, and learning how to be a valuable part of a diverse team.
Just picture this, a classroom in Ohio working on a climate change project with a classroom in Japan. They're using tech to erase the distance, to share data, and to build one big presentation together. They're not just learning about science, they're learning about different cultures, different perspectives, and what it really means to be part of a global team. But of course, for students to become these amazing knowledge constructors and global collaborators, their teachers have to change too. The ISTE standards completely redefine the teacher's role, moving them away from the sage on the stage to become an architect of amazing learning experiences.
And just like the student map, this one shows all the interconnected roles of a modern educator. Designer, analyst, collaborator, the whole shebang. This is the blueprint for a teacher who is also a learner, a leader, and a real catalyst for change. Let's explore 2 roles that directly power that student transformation we've been talking about.
The first one is the facilitator. You see, if a student is going to be a knowledge constructor, the educator's job is to facilitate that journey. It's all about creating an environment where students can take the lead.
A facilitator doesn't just hand out answers. They ask really good questions. They build a culture where students own their learning. They challenge them to think like designers to solve problems. And they create space for creativity and communication to just flourish.
So in this kind of classroom, the educator is a guide, not a gatekeeper. They set up the project, sure, but the students are the ones choosing their topics, picking their tools, and leading the final showcase. The teacher facilitates. The students are the ones driving their own learning.
The second key educator role is the collaborator. And this makes perfect sense, right? To empower students to become global collaborators, educators have to model that same spirit themselves. You have to walk the walk.
This means working with other teachers to design really cool lessons. It means being open to learning right alongside your students. And it means actively using technology to connect your classroom with the whole wide world, whether that's with other schools or with real experts out in the field.
So in this example, the educator isn't working in a silo. They're teaming up with a colleague. They're bringing students into the planning process. And they're reaching out to a real-world expert to get authentic feedback. They are building a rich, connected learning network.
So as we bring this all together, the most powerful idea behind the ISTE standards is really the synergy between these roles. It's this dynamic partnership where empowered educators are the ones who cultivate empowered learners. This chart lays it out perfectly. You can see the direct connection. A student becomes a knowledge constructor when their teacher acts as a facilitator. They become an innovative designer when their teacher thoughtfully designs amazing learning experiences. And they become a global collaborator when their teacher models what great collaboration looks like. Each role truly empowers the other. Look, this framework is an incredibly powerful tool for transformation, but it all starts with just one step. You don't have to tackle all 7 standards at once. The real question for every educator out there is this: where are you going to begin? Which standard will you focus on to start building your future-ready classroom today?